I still love your opening.
So, this is Big D and Shade from TacoYaki Anime.
Yo!
Welcome back. Today we'll be talking about our final thoughts on the winter season of 2019. It's a little small.
It is. I don't know. It's some strange things happened. I don't know. Like, I kind of lost. I only have really two that I regret kind of losing track of.
Mm-hmm.
The Sword Art and our Index. Those are the only two I really feel kind of bad about losing track of. The rest, I'm kind of meh.
So I wanted to have those two so that I can tie. There's 3 shows that I had to drop, and I wanted to Domestic Kanojo I wanted to keep up with because of the twist at the beginning. But then somebody that I knew was having trouble with their relationship, and this week when I tried to watch it, one of the characters was going through the exact same thing, and I was mad about the other situation, so I couldn't. I was like, "Why are you bringing this back up? I've already had a discussion about this. I can't watch this right now." I was mad, so I was like, "Well, this show's getting dropped till later," and I don't want to go back to it. So, unfortunately, IRL reasons, I couldn't get to that one. The other show I wanted to keep up with the same ones as you. The only thing is, I wanted to refresh my brain like 100% before I jumped into those, and I got through season 1 of Index, season 1 of Railgun. No, almost the end of season 1 of Railgun. And then I looked at my time, and I'm like, okay, so then I got season 2 of Railgun, season 2 of Index, and then all of season 3. And then I got Sword Art 1 and Sword Art 2, Sword Art maybe. So like that's another 6 cores I gotta watch, and I didn't have the time for it. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll just do the 4. So, yeah, we got 4 shows to talk about today, and the first show we'll be talking about is Egao no Daika, or The Price of Smiles. I can't get it. This show, the synopsis was kind of confusing, but then at the end I was like, oh, that's what they were talking about. And
so wait, you had to wait till the very end to get like what they were even doing?
Well, some of the synopsis was talking about this, like it was talking about the setting, and the setting is not Earth; it's like another planet. And I completely forgot about that because it was an Earth-like planet. They're like, yeah, this is our planet. I'm like, okay, cool, Earth, cool. So, and
so
then
you had one of those moments where you saw the key word and you just kind of went with it.
Well, it's the way that they describe it in the synopsis, from what I can remember. It's like they take kind of like a fairy book approach to it. It's kind of like 2 girls, one from this side and one from that side, and they live on this planet and they become friends or something like that. I can't remember what exactly the synopsis said. So I was like, oh, okay, we aren't there. We're gonna go there and then see what happens, and maybe they'll do something that comes here. But what ends up happening is we're just there with them the whole time. So I was like, oh yeah, we're here. No, they're like, no. And then at the end of the show, they're like, yeah, and this is what happened on this one planet. I'm like, oh, that's right. That's what they said at the beginning. So,
all right, fair enough.
Yeah. So none of that really matters, but it was just right at the end. I was like, oh yeah, this isn't Earth. So, would I recommend this show?
If you have to think about it like that, that's probably a pretty bad sign.
Well, me, I like so many different things from so many different genres that I have to speak to a person of a specific genre. So this is a mech show, and you're part of the story. You're following a like this team or crew of mercenaries, and if you don't like people talking about rank and this army versus that army, all the mech stuff, then nah, not for you. Also, not for me too. But they sprinkled a few different characters that were interesting enough for me for like those characters overthrew that rule basically. If those characters weren't interesting enough, then I'd be like, I'm kind of bored. So the characters, I would say they aren't like amazing, but for me, they're good enough to where Abe kind of broke that rule for mech shows for me.
Okay.
So I'd say, yeah, if you're into mech shows and you like the whole military aspect and everything, then good. If you kind of like that whole, there's something happened in the, like, for the way the show goes, something happened in the past. The leaders are no longer there. You have kind of like the people who took the lead afterwards running the country, and things are happening the way they are now because nobody knows what happens in the past. And the past slowly gets revealed, and then people are like, no, why are we doing it this way? We should have been doing it that way. The whole reason why that incident happened, and let's kind of revert everybody back to that. And we'll have to basically have to fight everybody tooth and nail to get it to be that way. It kind of has like this environmental message behind it, but it wasn't strong enough to kind of deter me from it. So it was, I really liked it. They meet my expectations. So what did I think was about the show going in? I don't think I thought it was going to be a mech show, even though one of them was wearing like a mech suit in the picture. So I thought that the two girls were going to be friends from like a couple episodes in. And the way that this story played out was, welcome to the kingdom. The king and the queen, they died a while ago. So the princess is starting to take the lead. She hasn't had the responsibility of everything, but here you go. You're 12 now. Here you go. Here's all your responsibilities. And
I was about to say, yeah, wasn't it like you said, like the maid or whoever was taking care of her was like, here, you have all of this now.
Yeah,
I'm done with it.
Yeah, like, you've turned 12. Here you go. And she gets all this responsibility, and of course she's naive because she's been pampered the whole time. And there's still this harsh reality that she doesn't see going on. This whole time, like there's been this war going on, and she's just like, oh, and today I'm gonna water my flowers, and then I'm gonna hang out with my friend, and then we're gonna eat lunch. And now she's like, now I have thousands of stacks of paper that I have to fill out, and I have to decide what's gonna happen with, like, people are asking for this. I barely even know what that is, but I'll sign the papers and all that kind of stuff. But she's like starting to learn it. And then something happens with one of her friends, and then she realizes that there's a war going on. And then she's like, how come y'all didn't tell me? And they're like, well, we were trying to make sure that you had like a good life. And then she's like, well, now look what happened to him. So now she's on in the front line. Oh, well, not in the front lines, but now she's like starting to see what's happening with the war, and she's actually watching it. All of the commanders that are there, they're like, okay, we got to pull out. Like, just forget all of this that's happening. We got to abort. And she's like, no, what about those 7 people that are still there? And he's like, we can't do that. We'll risk stuff. And she's like, no, you gotta save the people. Please save them. So they're like, all right, fine. Send this one crew over there. They pull up and the rebels are like, we're not leaving our city. We've built this. We're not giving it up. Come on, guys. And then the soldiers come up and they're like, come on, we got to get out of here. And they're like, okay. And they jump in the ship. And then the people who are attacking the city blow up the escort, blow up the transport, and blow up those 7 people. And it was a very, very stupid idea to do that. So there's
I'm at this point. I'm just along for the ride. This is your whole like description and part play by play on this has been just the most fascinating above all.
So basically, it's a journey of her learning the harsh realities of war, and once that happens, she's like, all right, I can't just like, these people have died because of me. I need to take responsibility and do this right. So then she goes off screen and starts studying a bunch of tactical handbooks and all this kind of stuff. And she basically like takes charge and starts making way, way better decisions. And she has her ideals. She's like, yes, I understand I understand now why everybody's making these decisions, but I don't want certain ones to be made. If people are retreating, we're not going to gun them down. If people are doing other things, we're not going to do that. I will let you do everything you want to do because you're more experienced than me, but up to a certain point, because I am the face of the kingdom. Like she's like taking charge, making deals, and all that kind of stuff. Of course, some people disobey and all that kind of stuff, but you can see like her change. Episode 2 was like, the way that the show goes is like it hops like one episode with the kingdom, and then episode 2 is like, welcome to the rebellion. Meet this person. Here's her backstory. Meet this person. All of these people are part of this crew, and we're fighting against the enemy. And I'm like, wait, isn't the enemy the kingdom? And they're like, it's the enemy. So we have this mission that we have to do. We have that mission that we have to do. We're losing people here and there. They have the stronger mechs, so we have to be smarter in the way that we fight. We need the resources that they have because we're starving. There's all these kids here. Yes, these kids are part of the kingdom, so they are the enemy, but they aren't soldiers. They're just innocent people whose town has been blown up. So us as this small little unit in this giant army, we're going to make sure that we give whatever we can to these orphans because it's not their fault that the battle is happening. So you end up meeting like this other unique set of characters, and you see how they're like compassionate for anybody who's not in a mech shooting at them, whether it's foe or friend. They don't care. They want to make sure that they're not there to just hurt people. They're there to follow orders from whoever's at the top, but also they have humanity because it's people. So you end up getting to meet the girl in the mech suit, and you're like, oh, okay, this is her backstory, and this is why she's doing that. You meet like all of these. You actually end up seeing like the aftermath of the battle, and you're like, I understand the princess's whole thought is like, I don't want people to keep dying. So if there's a battle going to happen in this one city, let's retreat so those guys that are in the city can like leave the city and come after us instead of destroying this the city that we were currently in. So they're like, oh, well, these guys aren't so bad. They have orders that they're following because that's their job, but they're not just mowing down innocent people. So, and while I'm over here, I get to see all of these people who are just uprooted from their lives. So that's interesting. Episode 3. Welcome back to the kingdom. So, we are having a really bad, like, we need to keep this one place because it has all the farms and we're running out of food, but they're attacking, so we got to go. Oh no, we lost a big chunk of our army. Well, that sucks. Okay. Everybody retreat. As we're retreating, they blow up all of the people who are trying to retreat. You're like, come on, guys. We're trying to play nice. Yeah, it's a war, but we're not like it's you're on the side now, and like this is a losing battle. Something needs to change because they're just mowing us down. They have a bigger army. We're playing as smart as we can, and we need some type of trump card to like turn the tide of the war, or it's just like in a couple months, we'll just be completely wiped out. They lose facility after facility. You meet some of these characters that you've met in episode 1. They're like, oh, it's my time to die. You go to safety. And then they hold down the fort and then just get taken over. And you're like, great.
So I don't know. The way you're describing it, it almost sounds like to me, is there like a third side in this whole thing that they just didn't like say about basically and alluded to and made you think that there was two sides when really there's three?
Kind of.
Because the way you said that, because you're like, the one side said, okay, we're not going to mow down people as they're retreating. And then all of a sudden they're mowing down people as they're retreating. You're like, wait a minute, that's what you said they were not going to do. Now they're doing that. So is this the same faction? Is this the same group? Or are we completely different now?
Well, so let's say the kingdom is like, we're not going to mow down anybody. The other side, they're like, we're going to mow down everybody. We're trying to take all of this over.
Okay.
So when the kingdom retreated, they're like, no, guys, okay, we give up, white flag, okay, leave us alone. And then they try to retreat, and then the enemy like mows them all down. So they're like, would y'all quit mowing us down? We retreated. What does this white flag mean? Do y'all not understand what the white flag means? Like,
gotcha.
And then episode 4, you switch back to the other side, and then he's like, wait, it's my turn to die. You go to safety. And then I'm like, show, all right, I understand what you're doing now. You can't do that. That's not fair. You can't double dip. You can't be like, oh, I'm on this side. Oh, look at all this tragedy. Oh, aren't you sad? Okay, let's go over to these people. Oh, look, they dialed somebody too. Aren't you sad? I'm like, that's not fair. What you're supposed to do is be sad and then be happy again. So when it's time for our side to be happy, you go to the other side that's sad. So then it's just sad and then sad and then sad.
Just multiplying the sadness on top of each other to make this huge conglomerate of sad with everyone being miserable.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, when this is not cool. When is something going to change? And then one guy was like, oh, I found this facility. I've checked in some of the logs, and guess what? The reason why this third party that has been destroyed already was trying to tell us to stop using these mechs is because it's bad for the planet. And yeah, so okay,
because you know the rampant fighting and killing of each other, that's okay, but the pollution that these the pollution that these mechs are putting out, that's bad for the planet. We gotta stop that.
Yeah. Okay. So before I get into that, because that's a bit of a stuff. Okay, who's my favorite character? I like the girl in the mech suit, the blue one, because well, actually no. She's my second favorite. I like the aide of the princess, the one that dumped all the paperwork on her at first. At first I was like, hey, she doesn't even know what all this means. Why did you just dump all this paperwork on her? And then you realize, oh, she just gave her a small part of the workload. This aide is still doing tons and tons and tons of other stuff. So I was like, oh, well, then, princess, you gotta pull your weight. Like, stuff's gotta get done. We're trying to run a kingdom here. You can't be going around watering plants all day. So, like, once I realized what the aide was doing, I like made a total 180, and she became my favorite character. Okay, now before I get into the ending, this is the spoiler section. Like I kind of tripped into it, but yeah. So this is the spoiler section. Towards the end, one of the people from the kingdom, he stumbled across the logs that were like from the past, and he found out what history has been covered up.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why they're on a different planet is because I guess something happened to Earth. They didn't explain what happened to the planet, but they're like, oh, our old planet. Or there's like, oh, think we used to do stuff like this on our old planet. So it never explained like if something happened to the old planet or if they're just like, oh, let's just fly to the stars and conquer other planets. So what happened is when they got to the planet that they're currently on, they terraformed it with nanomachines. And yeah, there's just nanomachines all over the place. And there's a source of power that they can get from the nanomachines, which is the reason why the mechs are like the power that they're using from the nanomachines power the mechs.
Okay.
They didn't like the current people that are living now, or except for like the council. Like the council, they've been around for a long time. They're all like 90. They're all really old, and they know what happened in the last generation.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, we don't care. That other country, the third faction that you're alluding to, that is no longer around. They were warning the two factions. They're like, don't use these mechs. Their power source is like coming from the nanomachines, and if you use the new ones, it's just an exponential depletion of that. And what's going to happen is that all of the terraformation is going to disappear, and the planet will no longer be hospitable.
Okay, I get you.
The enemy group wiped out that whole faction, and then tried to take over the kingdom.
Wait, so the rebels?
Yeah, basically, like the rebels, they wiped out the other faction because they're smaller, because they just wanted to take over the world or whatever. But and a very small amount of them came to this like unveiling of the newer mechs,
Mm-hmm.
and those people were like, don't use these mechs because they're going to destroy the environment. And the king and queen are like, what are you talking about? All of a sudden, gunfire starts, and the last few people from that third faction were like, we have bombs everywhere. Please stop this, or else we're going to force it to be stopped. And everything went to crap. They set off all the bombs. King and queen died. People died. Like basically, tons of higher ups across the whole three factions died all there.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was just the two factions, second generations, that didn't know anything. And they're like, we don't like you, and we don't like you. And they've been fighting this entire time. So you don't find that out until like 4/5 of the way through. So you're like, oh.
So, I mean, so the way you say, do they even know why they're fighting, or they're just fighting? They're just like, I don't like you, and it's like a old Southern feud where they're just like, I just want to you have red hat, I don't like red hats. Oh, you wear blue hats, I don't like blue hats, and we just kind of go at each other basically because of that.
100%. The first half of the series, you hop between the princess's view, which is the kingdom is trying to hold off these rebels, and they're trying to keep everything from the princess so she can have the best life as much as they can. The other side is you're following some characters that are like, this is our mission, and let's take care of these children that are left behind and elderly people that are left behind. And then until one of the people in the castle finds out that information, you don't really know why they're fighting.
Gotcha. So silliness just ensues, basically.
Yeah. So now that everybody knows, there's like this cool solution that's the end, and I'll leave the mystery for how you want to see it resolved. But yeah, I really liked this show. This show was pretty cool. It was better than I thought it was going to be.
Fair enough.
All right. So the next show we're going to be talking about is Tate no Yusha, or Rising of the Shield Hero.
Yes. This is just, oh my goodness, this show was like right up my alley. I didn't even realize how much so it was up my alley until we get to like the third or fourth episode. And I'm like, okay, this is so amazing. I mean, what are your thoughts on it, first off? Because if you watch, you're all the way through up to current, right?
12, I think. I wasn't sure if they're gonna have a 13th or something like that.
Oh, they are. It's supposed to be 24 episodes.
Okay, I thought so. Yeah. So I'd say before we get into that, because that's like the middle question. Would you recommend this show to like
highly,
anyone?
Highly.
Okay, and then who?
I don't even think there is necessarily this is one of those where it's like if you like anime, you're gonna like this.
Okay.
The characters are good. The action sequences are good. It has plenty of drama in it. All around, I don't think there's anything I could say that would say that it's too much of any one thing. And it's just, I think they did just an amazing job with it. So.
Okay. And because of this show, like I agree, because this show is so good, do you think it crosses genres, or do you think like it's like there's a specific? Because it's like I'd say fantasy. 100%.
Fantasy is the primary, but I honestly think that, like I was saying, if you're a fan of anime in general, just because you have the budding romance going on between Raftalia and Nafumi, you have the drama that goes along with his day-to-day life because of all the accusations and just slandering he's been under for his entire stay in this other world, basically. And there's so much hidden. I was actually talking about this with somebody else. There was so much hidden behind the scenes. Some people don't even realize it, and I'm looking at it going, okay, come on. It's almost a mystery onto itself.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying it's like there is so much going on here. And then if you really look deep into it, you realize that's just the surface. And there's so much even more going on behind the scenes. And I'm like, oh my goodness. That's why I'm enthralled with it. And that's why I say fantasy would be the primary, but beyond that, it crosses plenty of genres going through.
Okay. I would say also the whole game aspect, because just like with Log Horizon, this is a show that's being the isekai. It's in another world, but also game themed, because there's a lot of abilities that you upgrade, and then
it is game themed, but honestly, it almost seems like they're just using that as like a way for people to relate, or a staging ground almost. Because I don't like, even though it does have that, I don't ever feel like it's too much.
Yeah, it's basically, I'd say that's true, because the only time, if I think about it, that you only that you hear like the terms from like RPGs and leveling and upgrading is when they're using their abilities, or when the shield hero is switching shields.
Yep.
Outside of that, well, when they're getting their upgrades and gear and stuff like that.
But yeah, but for the most part, like in battles, for the most part, it's almost all like you could swear this was like it almost moves away from the isekai. It's almost like you're just there in this
Yeah.
world,
Yeah,
and
just
this
pure
is a
fantasy.
world. Yeah, pure fantasy, which I'm all for.
Okay.
Just all for.
Okay, so as far as expectations go, I this is a fantasy show and it's another isekai. So I was like, all right, what are they gonna do different? And after the first couple episodes, I was furious.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Ah,
I've watched so many reactions of this, and everyone I've seen has been just absolutely furious with royalty here.
so now we've had another show. We've had a couple shows that we've watched. One show, I was so furious that I could not finish the first episode,
Hmm.
and I just turned it off. This is a good furious. Like this is so confused and upset about how, like, why is everybody treating this dude so bad?
Yeah. And see, I feel like because of that, his character and the fact that he's kind of the quote unquote anti-hero in a sense, it actually kind of makes sense. And you don't, you see some anti-heroes and you're like, man, he's just an ass. He's just a jerk. Yada
Yeah,
yada yada. This guy here, you're like, he does stuff, and I start to think that I'm like, well, he kind of has reason for that.
yeah,
I'm like, they kind of pushed him into that. So
yeah.
I don't
They
feel so
like
bad.
they like pulled the rug and there was a hole under him, and they're like, bye, punk. I'm like,
Yeah,
why?
basically, so many times, from the time that he had that duel, and all the people in the audience were just basically saying how he was a cheat and how they actually said he should be killed. That he should be killed. And I'm like, he's the freaking hero that you guys summoned. Why?
Don't you need more people to kill the monsters? Why? Like,
Exactly.
yeah, I was.
Exactly. Oh, and everyone, the minute Multi gets on the screen, everyone, myself included, were like, "Oh my God, just go away, just go away. You're making things worse. Oh God, just go away." Uh,
Yeah. So, um, so yeah, did it meet my expectations? I did not expect to get that pissed off at the show. No, actually, not at the show. At like half the characters.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I definitely was shocked and 100% morbidly curious to see like how things are going to turn around, because I'm like it. I don't think the show is going to be like that. What was that one show where that girl had that terrible, terrible, terrible life?
Oh, Kanokon?
No, no.
I'm trying to remember. I know which one you're talking about. I know which one you're
Yeah.
the one that she could read minds.
Oh no 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 no
Oh, no?
no. That's a different one. It's
Okay.
it's the one that we both watched like a piece of it, and we were like, this is why would you ever write a character with that terrible of a life? Like a brother was beating her up, and then the parents are all like, oh yeah, that was
Oh, oh, that one. Yeah,
yeah
I only managed to watch like barely managed to watch the first episode of that one. That's why,
yeah.
because yeah, then she turned into like a magical girl and started killing people. I
Is
think.
it is it Magical Girl Sight? I think.
I think so. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So it wasn't an unfair, like totally unfair, nobody in the world cares about you um kind of treatment. This was somebody is behind this.
Yeah.
And I think it's the king. And it sucks because he's so powerful and you have no choice but to be here.
There's more to this. There's more to this. And well, I guess we'll save kind of for the spoiler and just my random hypothesis, because there's sprinkling of clues that they're leaving here that I'm kind of catching on to, and I'm like, yeah, there's stuff going on here. There's stuff going on here that they're just not even letting you know, and how things are going. I like that though, because you're just as clueless as the character themselves.
Yeah.
So it's your job kind of in the anime itself, just like the character, to figure it out.
Yeah.
To figure out what the true purpose, the true meaning behind all this is. Because we're not getting it. We're not getting that told to us.
Yeah.
So, but I'll leave that for the spoilers. My hypothesis.
Okay. So, who is your favorite character?
I mean, that's honestly, all three of them are awesome. I want to say for the main three. So Nafumi, Raftalia, and Philo.
Okay.
I adore Philo. From the time that she freaking kicks the spear hero in the groin, which was freaking awesome, to when she starts, I think it was the last episode when she was on the ship and he's like, I could have taken care of him. She's like, really? Could you have taken care of them? Well, why didn't you? I was like, oh, she's adorable. But the relationship that Nafumi and Raftalia have with each other, I think, is just outstanding. It is absolutely amazing. Considering where they started from to where they are now, it is absolutely amazing. And I think episode 4, where he had that duel, that cinched it for me. That between their relationship between each other, that cinched it for me. And even the bow hero, when the spear hero was trying to be like, I didn't do anything wrong. It's she's just being controlled, and the bow hero turns him and goes, you can seriously look at that right now and tell me that? And I'm like, oh yeah, no, you tell him. You freaking tell him, because you look at that and you tell me she's being controlled. You tell me that that's all part of some sort of evil mastermind game plan that Nafumi has when they're doing that. No, absolutely not, sir. Absolutely not. So, no, that was amazing to me.
Okay.
What about you?
My favorite is Raftalia.
Raftalia, yeah.
It was partially because of that scene with her like consoling him and like be like, come on, let's get out of here. And then right afterwards, where they were giving out the rewards for one of the things, and like everybody was all like bickering. They're like, well, he cheated, and like, well, you did this, and blah blah blah. And they're like, they convinced the king to just give him the money, and he's kind of just, here, pick it up, whatever kind of stuff. And he got pissed, and then she was like, how did she say it? She was like,
it was isn't that great? Now we can leave. We don't have to deal with them anymore.
Yeah, we don't have to spend more time here. And she like turned and glared at him, and I'm like, woo! Yeah.
Yes.
Fire.
That's how you do characterization. That's how you have a character, Oh, yeah, no. She is above all else. Yeah, she is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, I really have to give it to him, because when he got put into Nafumi got put into that position from the first episode, like, he embraced that side. Like, they had him out as the villain and everything, and he's like, you know what? If I'm going to be the villain, all right, fine. Let's be the villain. And I can't necessarily say in his position I wouldn't have done the same thing. And I was laughing and clapping when he went up to that merchant that first time, and he had those monsters under his cloak, and the merchant tries to start giving him crap and everything, and he's like, oh really? really? Come here. And he pulls him in and puts his face under the cloak and everything. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Buddy, hell yeah. Absolutely. 110%. Totally agree with you on that. You know?
Yeah.
So,
uh, yeah, definitely some good characters. And then, and again, since this is final thoughts, even though the series is halfway over, we're gonna do a core one final thoughts. So this is the spoiler section again. You can go ahead and mute the stream if you don't want to hear that part, and then when spoiler disappears, then we'll continue to the next show. But yeah, spoilers. What is your favorite part?
oh my goodness. Favorite part?
I'd say favorite part, and then you can do predictions and stuff like that since it's not over.
Okay, so favorite part, I have to say, was I'm just gonna be true to myself and say favorite part was the first time he used the raid shield.
Oh.
First time he used the raid shield. Well, okay, so it's kind of twofold. First time he used the raid shield, but that one part in the fourth episode when that raid shield was like just starting to kind of come out a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and where his voice, where he's like, everyone should die, and how they manipulated his voice in that gave me chills. That gave me shivers. I was like, oh, you pissed off the wrong guy. Just holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, then the first time he actually used the rage shield and actually brought it forth, oh, that was so amazing. I mean, I literally was sitting there like, just the look on his face, like after he got the rage shield came out and he blocked the first hit, and he lowers the shield, and you just see the red glowing eyes and the huge smile on his face, and then he just looks at the dragon and is just like, die. And I'm like, holy crap, damn. Um, yeah, that to me was just absolutely amazing. And of course, then he uses his special ability later on in another fight. But just that first moment when you see it come to light, and then you see all of his icons all just turn red, and it just everything starts creeping all over his body.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, this is freaking awesome. Love the crap out of it. So, what was yours?
So that fight when the dragon came back into life, was shocking because I don't know this world. So they're like, oh, we'll just get rid of it. And it's like, I'm awake. And I'm like, oh, crap. And Philo started fighting it. And I don't know. It's like that was the kind of the first time where I could see Philo like fighting something that's either on par with her or stronger than her. And kind of seeing her fighting capabilities was cool. And then when they were on the ship towards the end and the raid shield came back, I liked that part the most because it was him finally like showing that his power has caught up to them, if not exceeded them. And then Philo is tied into that rage. And I think
she was tied into that rage because she had swallowed the dragonstone.
Yeah.
Because that was because at that point it was the dragon's rage compounded into it.
Yeah.
And then so since that was tying into his rage shield, since she had swallowed the stone, that just it transferred partly over to her too.
Yeah. So yeah, a combination of him like kind of finally being able to show off his power level to the other heroes, and then Philo getting just as raged as much as him. Like all of that combined was like really, really cool.
Oh yeah.
So basically it's the tag team between him and Philo. Yeah, just seeing that tag team like teaming up against like monster that's stronger than other people can handle.
Well, and I think it's amazing to see not only the relationship they have an all around between Nafumi, Raftalia, and Philo, but the fact that they work so well together.
Yeah.
I mean, even to the point of like when that town was getting attacked and the lizard warrior came out or whatever, and they took it down, but it was like a coordinated attack between them.
Yeah.
So it's like they have that dynamic, they have that working ability, and it's awesome to see. So, spoilers though. Spoilers
Yeah.
with up and coming thoughts here. So there's a lot going on. There is
Yeah.
so much going on, and I feel like they're barely hitting the surface of it.
Mm-hmm.
One thing, the town. So right now he's on his way to go to another country, basically, in order to use their dragon hourglass, so he can basically level cap them up, basically, right?
Yes.
But what was the name of that town? Do you remember? It was
Wait,
Shield
it's yeah. Okay, I was like, there was something to it.
Shieldfrieden.
Yeah.
And what is this town primarily composed of? Demis.
That's right.
And if you think about it too, when in the very was it no, it was, I think the second episode when you got a little bit of Raftalia's past when she was with her parents, because you had that little fireplace scene with her parents, and her father was telling her about the heroes. And he specifically mentions the shield hero and says the shield hero was a friend to the Demis.
Yes.
But in this country, how are Demis being treated? Very poorly.
Yeah.
Very poorly. They're treated as slaves, as outcasts, as beneath everyone. They even had that sign out there in one of the tavern when he first got Raftalia and he went to go take her to have some lunch that said no Demis allowed.
Yeah.
So that to me already says, okay, there's something more serious going on here.
Yeah.
There's something behind the scenes, and potentially because maybe the previous Shield hero that might have come here,
Uh-huh.
maybe he caused some stuff to happen beyond just defeating the waves. Maybe
Yeah.
he might have caused a revolution or some sort of shifting of power, basically, of not just the actual like hero wise, but also like in the government wise. Because you also remember the last when Melty goes in to see her father after after the shield hero kind of stands his ground in front of her or front of him. He says, I don't want to lose my family." There's something to that. Something was lost the last time Shield Hero came around.
Okay.
And then on top of that, the other thing that really sparks my interest is the Queen.
Yeah. Why is she in like another castle?
She's not only is she in another castle, but she's under guard and she can't leave.
Yeah. I got a bit confused because the queen in is Melty okay, who's Melty again?
So there's Melty and Malty. They're only separated by the one letter basically in their name. Malty is the red-haired one that we saw from the very beginning. Melty is the purple-haired girl who's the actual successor to the throne.
Yes. Okay. So I got Multi and the Queen mixed up because it was probably the Queen, and I thought Multi was talking to that like Black Ops ninja crew that like
Oh, the
goes all
Ambu ninja group that they have,
yeah,
that the Queen
yeah,
has, which
yeah.
is freaking awesome.
I thought Multi was talking to them, so I'm like, oh great, now we got other people spying on the Shield hero. But when I realized it was the Queen, I'm like, oh, they're the good guys.
Yeah,
Hopefully, so I'm like,
it seems
okay,
like that. It seems like that. But here's the other thing too. Like again, so much more going on here because the first time you meet the Queen, she's having that discussion with her Anbu Black Ops people. Um, but here's one thing about that. Why is it so secretive? Like she had to talk to her people, making it look like she wasn't, because her subordinate couldn't be inside the room with her. They were outside. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So like that's one thing that's fishy. The other thing that's fishy is if when you look at the kingdom from the original one where the king himself is at, it looks like your average medieval castle kingdom, correct? But when they zoomed out the first time you met the queen and her kingdom where she's at, that looked industrialized. It looked far more like progressed than the previous kingdom was. You know what I mean? So now I'm really curious as to it's like what time frame are we in? Or did the last heroes that came through, maybe they stayed and gave them some technological advancements? You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
interesting. It's interesting to see. And I'm really curious as to how that ties in because there's got to be something to that regardless. There has to be something to that. Um, but yeah, I think when he actually gets to this new city, Shield Frieden, that he's going to, more will be revealed.
Oh
I
yeah, definitely.
feel like more will be revealed. And here's the other thing too that really had me going. The end of that last episode. The end of that last episode. You know, she was trying to kill Melty. She is trying to kill Melty.
I don't remember exactly what happened, but okay.
Because you remember he was off on his adventure because he was about to go back. He was about to go to that other city,
Mm-hmm.
and on the way, I guess they stop and Melty catches up with her or with
Mm-hmm.
them,
Mm-hmm.
and she is trying to convince him to go back to the king and apologize and work this out.
Mm-hmm.
He's refusing, of course, because he doesn't trust any of the royals,
Yeah,
probably for good reason, especially with everything
yeah,
that's going on.
yeah.
And then next thing you know, he's looking, and all the soldiers that she came with are lined in the background, and one of them's holding a crystal ball. And that crystal ball had been before used as a way of someone viewing something to be able
Yeah.
to see something that happens.
Uh-huh.
And then next thing you know, he's looking at him going, this feels like exactly what happened when I got set up. This feels
Uh,
exactly like what happened when I got set up. And then next thing you know, here comes one of those soldiers drawing his sword and swinging it at Melty. But she had her back turned to him, so she had no idea. But he saw it happening right from the get-go. And he blocks the hit, and she has just a look of surprise, and he has a look of just pure anger. And then they cut.
uh,
And I'm like, because the thing is after Melty went into the chamber with the king, and then Malty
mm,
came in, when she kind of snubbed her sister and left, that lady in the dress that she met up with is actually her mother's Anbu Black Ops person.
mhm.
She had that same person had warned Nafumi, "You're making enemies. Watch yourself. Watch yourself
Uh,
and how you're doing things." And then you see a guard on the and behind one of the pillars, kind of halfway listening and watching her.
uh,
And then that's when all that goes down.
okay.
So there is intrigue, there is plot devices, there is so much more going on in this world even that we have yet to come across, and it's already 12 episodes in.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just looking at it going, holy crap, this is going to be something just absolutely amazing, I feel like. And the fact that he has to clean up after the other heroes because the other heroes keep thinking of this as like a game when it's like, no, you're in this world. You're
Yeah.
in this world and you need to respect that and you need to actually act like that and take this seriously because your lives are on the line.
Yeah, especially because it's like in a game, you're like, okay, go kill the dragon. You're like, okay, cool. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Boom, you get your loot and then you leave. In real life, the body of that dragon is still there. It's
Mm-hmm.
rotting, causing all types of trouble. But in a game, you're like, cool, boom, and I get my loot and it disappears.
Yeah.
And they're like, nope, not here. So
Yeah. Well, and then the bow hero thinking that, oh, I need to, overthrow this corrupt government that's hurting all these people. And it's like, yeah, great. You look at that as a quest and you did that. But here's the thing. Somebody else has to take control of that now.
yeah,
Somebody else has to, you basically just opened it up for anyone else to walk in. And you didn't think about that because again, you're only thinking about this as a game,
yeah.
you know. And of course, freaking Spear Hero is just being manipulated by that freaking the princess.
At a certain point, he's gonna see something because the other heroes are kind of like bringing up a lot, and he's like, no, but
I
no.
honestly, I think he's so deep in his own delusion. I'm not sure it will happen. Like he was
That'd
even
be
in that
sad.
fourth episode, he's looking at both Nafumi and Raftalia just hugging and crying it out kind of thing. And he's still saying, I did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. It's like, dude, what has to be hit upside your head for you to realize this? Seriously. Come on. You know? So yes. Anyways, I don't know, this
Yeah,
show for the we're still early in the year, but goddamn is this show high up in the year for me.
yeah.
It really is. And depending upon how these next 12 episodes go,
hmm
I mean, it could easily hit number one for me, and
Okay.
it'll be a hard thing for someone to topple for sure.
Yeah.
Because just so many plot points, so many plot devices, the character development is amazing.
hmm
The action is spot on, and of course, I have said this for however many years we've been doing this. I absolutely love when a character just loses it.
hmm
And he has so much reason to lose it. And when he does, it was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine it is just going to progress more and more, especially with how he had to deal with Glass and wasn't able to keep up with. I
Yeah.
mean, he's gonna have to up his game. It's got
Oh, a new villain popped in and like ended
Glass.
that fight. Yeah.
Yeah. And that also makes me curious. What are these waves? What
Yeah.
are he now Fumi's even questioning that. There's more to these waves than meets the eye. It's not just, oh, there's a boss, go kill it. No, 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 no. Because it's like they killed the boss, that giant dimensional soul eater that was
Yeah.
there, and the wave didn't end. But all of a sudden there was a time limit.
Yeah.
And she's saying she would have won had she killed the shield hero. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like, oh, there's more to that. There's way more to that.
All right. I'm excited for the next one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is a great show. It transcends the fantasy genre. There's lots of great characters, and
Ones you love and ones you love to hate.
yeah. So yeah, I would say go ahead and check it out. The next show we're going to be talking about is Slime.
Slime. I don't know. Okay. Especially now comparing with Shield Hero. I'm a
And this
little,
one's not. I'm like,
huh?
this one's not done either, right?
No, it's not done. It's
There's,
not.
they're either going to take a break or they're going to continue it. I don't
Yeah,
know. I feel like they're going to take a break.
yeah, I feel like they're gonna take a break too. But uh, I think even though they're both isekais, they're isekais done differently,
Yes.
and you have to look at it that way
Yes.
because trying to compare these two, Shield Hero and Slime, is just it's like chocolate and dark chocolate. Yeah, they're both chocolate, but they're different and they're good in their own ways. You know what I mean? It's like milk chocolate, dark chocolate. What do you feel like, kind of thing. You
Yeah.
know, um, because I can't necessarily say that I wasn't a little disappointed in how the end of it came a little bit, but I did appreciate the backstory that they had for um I guess I can't remember her name. The one who wore the mask before he consumed her.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
I had it because I had it on because she is one of my best. Shizue.
Hmm.
Um, that little story with her, I love
Yeah.
that. That was awesome. I'm like, damn it! I kind of want to I want to have just more of that.
Yeah.
Can we just have more of that? I'm like, oh my god, that was awesome. Seeing and then they made because they tried to do it as a way of tying into that one guy that you see at the end of episode 22 when he tied it all when they were kind of ending it all kind of thing. Because
Yeah.
22 was the end of Rimaru's um thing where he was helping the kids.
Yeah.
But then they showed the dude with the weird eyes looking into the crystal ball at him.
Hmm.
And then they also showed somebody who was standing behind a tree when he went off. So obviously more things are going to happen, more things are going on.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I liked the ending itself was eh. I liked the little extra they added to it, though I think they could have skipped the 24.5 episode where they had the dragon and Ifrit playing shogi.
I don't think I watched that
Yeah, you don't have to.
one.
don't
Yeah.
don't even don't even waste your time. I think I skipped for more. Like at the beginning was new content. Then after that, it was like basically rehashing everything that happened, but then having the dragon make commentary about it, kind of thing.
So it's like a recap episode, but like in the middle, or at least a recap for the first season.
Yeah, basically. It's like, I don't get me wrong, I appreciate if that was your intention to do that at the end of the season so that way when you do the new one, you can just jump right into it. Cuz then
Yeah.
someone could just watch that episode and
Mm,
be as like a refresher and be like, "Oh, I know everything that's happening. Okay, cool." As
yeah.
opposed to typically what happens on the first episode of a new season where the first episode is usually just the rehash of it.
Yeah, they take like anywhere from 5 minutes to like 15 to a whole 30 and make the first episode an hour long.
Mm.
But
But in general, I mean, it's a great series. I love the series.
mm,
Um, I want to see more struggle with Rimuru. I really do. I think I'm getting to that point where yeah, he's an OP character, but I want to see him struggle more.
yeah.
You know,
Mm,
he's meant to be that OP character. I totally am behind that. Totally get that. But goddamn, do I want him to actually have like an act where he has to use like everything he's got to be able to do whatever it is that he's got to do to defeat whatever it is he's trying to defeat. You know what I mean?
yeah. Usually it's like 2 tries. He's like, how about this? You're
Yeah.
like, okay, how about this? Okay, it's over. Cool.
Yep. And you're like, all right, we're done. That was the same thing with like the his even when it's not like a fight, even when he was just with the kids
Hmm.
and trying to get them their spirits, and I was like, all right, are we gonna have some are we gonna have some struggle here? Is this gonna? And it's like, no, he's just gonna absorb the smaller pieces, make a bigger spirit, throw it in there, and everything's happy, everything's good. One
Yeah.
kid got a actual greater spirit, and then the
Mm-hmm.
other one
Got something.
got something. Yeah, the other one got something.
And he's like,
He's like, well, it worked, so we're fine. I'm like,
famous
all
last
right,
word.
good going. I want to see how that's gonna go. I feel like that spirit was maybe the spirit of the thing that had killed or had imprisoned the dragon. It
Ah,
seemed like because the dragon had like a recognition for it, but I'll go into that later. So
okay. Cool. I would say for me, I don't like it. Like just like with the last one. This show is fantasy, and it is fantasy that I like because it has very good characters. Just like
Shield
just
Hero.
like yeah, just like Shield Hero, just like Konosuba, just like Gate. These are all
I would say this probably comes really close to Konosuba in a lot of ways because
hmm,
the characters are just quirky and funny, and they just have their own little dynamic, I guess you could say.
yes, they're quirky, they're hilarious, and they're incompetent. At least these guys are quirky and competent.
Yeah, this is true.
um, but yeah, so this this show is very, very, um, very. It's comparing it to, like I don't know, like comparing it to Shield Hero, it's very different, like you said, and it's not as funny as Konosuba, but like I don't know, like the competency is the whole thing. Like seeing very competent characters that have a bit of a struggle. It seems like everybody else struggles a bit before Rimuru has to step in.
Hmm.
And like you said, if Rimuru like struggled a bit more, that would be um, pretty cool
No, yeah, no,
to
definitely.
see. But
I mean, all in all, I feel like this is more like just a choose your own adventure story. We're not really here for the conflict as much as we are just here for the actual backstory. And right now, unless they change things, this is more Rimuru goes around fixing people's problems. That's kind of what I see.
yeah, and like creating a giant.
And creating a nation that will hopefully help each other.
Yeah.
So
I wonder how many different types of races will be assembled together at the end. So I'm like, is he just gonna be like the overlord of the entire world, or is something gonna break people apart and it'll kind of go back to where it used to be? Or
I don't know if he's
uh,
necessarily going to be the overlord. Um, though that would be interesting if Rimuru kind of turned slightly evil in a way, I guess. Um, but I feel like I think where he's at and what he's got going for him is almost to the extent that you're going to see things. And I don't think it's going to go much further than this as far as his kingdom goes, I guess. It's just more going to be him now now that he's established. I feel like this first two cores were him establishing himself.
uh,
It's like, okay, we now have our base of operations, we have our kingdom, they're taking care of each other, they're handling things, we're good here. Now let's actually go out into the world and let's handle things there.
okay, yeah,
So
I would say, is there another kind of group other? Well, I don't know. He's kind of the Dwarven Kingdom's kind of like a lot allied with him now. The
see, if he doesn't have them in his kingdom itself, he's allies with them, is pretty much what it's
yeah,
come down to. You know, he's allies with the dwarves. He's allied with two of the demon lords. He's allies with the lizards. And then as far as those in his community, he has the goblins, he has the ogres, and he has the orcs.
And the wolves.
And the wolves. So I mean, it's like pretty much it's like either he allies with him, or they're in his kingdom, and as a community. And that's pretty much where it's at.
Yeah, and the people he usually takes in are people who don't have a home anymore.
Yep.
So.
Or are just too weak with the ever-growing power surges that are happening to be able to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Because like he had that where he went to the Dwarven Kingdom and then came back, and all of a sudden there was way more goblins that needed names, because now they're like, well, we're kind of underpowered based upon you guys, and we can't really take care of ourselves. So.
Okay. Yeah. So. Would you recommend this show?
Yes. I would absolutely recommend this show, but I don't think I would recommend it nearly as highly as Shield Hero.
Mm-hmm.
I think this now starts, because before with Shield Hero, it was that will cross genres and will have more of an interest to a broader range of people. This is, I think, a little more specific.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree with that one, because story-wise, it's like at least the journey of the main slime, he's not like it's not that bad of a struggle. He hasn't really had hardship.
No.
So
and it's kind of been one of those ex machina moments where if ever he had a problem, that episode it gets solved, typically.
Yeah, like at the very beginning, he's like, cool, I've amassed this power to have me coast through like the first season.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, so like, you know, if you take from the very instance that he got there, so the very first episode where he has himself as a slime and he has no idea what he's doing. You know, he's like, well, I can't see anything. I'm essentially blind. And then all of a sudden, by that first episode, he gets his sight. Why? Because he ex machina ran into Veldora the dragon, and Veldora's like, I can teach you how to see things using magic, for no other reason than I'm lonely and bored. You know, it's like, well, I suppose that's a reason. Sure, why not? Let's go for it. You know. And then it's like, by episode, you know, the next episode, he's like, well, I have nowhere to go. I have no place to call home. I'm just wandering around. Next thing you know, goblins show up and they're like, hey, you're a powerful thing. We have an issue. Can you help us with it? Now, all of a sudden, he has a community because he has the goblins that he's living with now. And then afterwards, it's like, well, we can't build houses because we suck at that. We can't build proper clothing because we also suck at that.
And now
there's dwarves over there
who
we could probably ask for some help, and then that ended up happening. You know, it's like it's never, like you said, the conflict is never predominant. It's always just like, here's the problem, and then all of a sudden, ex machina, here's a solution. You know, so no, absolutely. I really want to see in this next season. I feel like, okay, if this is where you wanted to go with it, he's established his power base, he's established himself where he's at, he has no immediate threats or problems. So let's now actually make it to where he has to struggle with something.
Yeah.
It's not going to be detrimental to him. It's not going to be hugely problematic for him because he has all of his basic needs and everything met. So let's actually now have the conflict happen, kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, I would say even with all of the steps, it's not boring. Like,
no,
it's not like he's super duper overpowered to where he's like, oh, poof, not an issue, poof, not an issue, poof, not an issue. He's not coasting through everything, but he's also not struggling a lot. So it is Um, it's something about the story that doesn't completely detract from it because the characters are so interesting.
Yeah.
And that's what carries the show mostly for it.
Oh,
So I would say if you're interested in fantasy, and if you're interested in a kind of like Kobosuba style show, except with competent characters, then I'd say this would be a good show for you.
this is almost like fantasy light.
Yeah.
It's not full on fantasy. It is
Yeah.
full on. It is technically full on, quote unquote, fantasy, but it's not full on as in like what you would get with like say Shield Hero.
Yeah.
That's full on fantasy.
Okay. Um, who is your favorite character?
I guess in general, it would have to be Rimuru.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he's got such a quirky little personality.
Mm-hmm.
And despite the fact that he is as powerful as he still is nice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he could turn evil and there would be a huge problem for anyone trying to stop him. But he
Yeah.
doesn't feel the need to do that. He doesn't
Mm-hmm.
really feel the need to flex his power unless it's really necessary.
Yeah.
You know, he'll let the other guys take care of things or handle things on their own until it's pretty much one of those situations where there's no other way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, okay, fine, I will step in.
Yeah.
But I mean, beyond that, it's not to say the rest of the characters are just so interesting on their own, and it's really hard to say that 100%. That's why I'm kind of like Rimuru, because man, I love all the other ones on their own. I love the ogres and their dynamic with them, the quirkiness with his secretary, um, and the fact that she can't cook. And then the ninja dude who just will appear out of nowhere and always Rimuru is like, oh, the hottie who can handle anything and take care of business. I think it's just hilarious.
He basically complains about the Sohei, I think. He complains about Sohei about how we're kind of complaining that he doesn't struggle.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know, and his general, the main ogre, I love him. I think he has great evolution in his character. I've enjoyed that a lot. The old dude, man, I've enjoyed him because he's just funny, and the fact that he's training the other goblins and he shows them no mercy whatsoever, but they still manage to, you know, do what they got to do. I appreciate that. Of course, the Goblin Lord, him always sitting around there flexing anytime Rimuru's around. Um, is just hilarious. And then the demon, the little girl demon, who's the most powerful demon, but she's also just a little girl kid, basically.
Yeah.
And so she has all that power, but no mentality to really use it, and just kind of does whatever the hell she wants, you know. So you know, and then even Ranga, I freaking love Ranga too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because he has, I laugh so hard when he went to the school for those kids, and at first they weren't listening to him, and then he brought Ranga out, and Ranga went really big.
Yeah.
And he's like, roll call, we'll try this one more time. And he starts calling their name. They're like, here, here. And you just see this big menacing wolf sitting behind him. And they're like, whatever, just keep him back. And then Ranga
like
just slurps the kid, and he's like, I like you. And you're like, oh my god.
And even the kids are like, you're not playing fair. And
Yeah,
like,
yeah, he's like, and I got your attention, didn't I?
Yeah. Also Gupta, like,
oh yeah, go
season, like part 1, like he surprised me the most out of all of the goblins. I want to say, like, okay, if I had to pick out of all the characters that they've shown, kind of like how you mentioned before, if there was one character that I would love to see more from, it would be Is it Shizu? Shizu Ne? Shizu? The one that got the mask.
She's
Yeah, Shizu. Like I would love to see more of her.
like do like
So
backstory on her a little bit more.
I kind of wish she got resurrected and was just there,
Mm.
because that's like that's one character that I'm like, yeah, I'm 100% on board with, because she has the struggle, she has like the power, she has the tragic end, like
Oh yeah.
she has like all of the best parts of a character, like character's arc,
Mm.
and I wish her arc wasn't over. Like,
I agree.
so I kind of want to say that she's my favorite, but it kind of sucks that her part's kind of over already.
Yeah. Yeah. No, like I said, that last or second to last episode they had with her and her coming to the kingdom and having to destroy or fight demons or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That was every part of that I absolutely adored. I loved the crap
Mm-hmm.
out of.
Yeah.
So no, I completely agree with you on that. I wish they'd had more with her. And if they had like a sub, if any character, if we had an index moment here where any character could have their own spin-off series,
Oh
I would
yeah.
love for her to have her own spin-off series.
Oh yeah.
Show me those fights that she was. Show me how she became the hero of the flame or the conqueror of the flame kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
And her life and going to teach those kids, you know, and everything. It's like let me see all that because man was that freaking awesome. Just the oh there was this old book series I want to say Hawk and Fisher where it kind of reminded me of
Mm-hmm.
because they had that instance where they were like it was a fantasy realm but they were like quote unquote police kind of thing going on and I feel like that's kind of like her as well. She was
Mm-hmm.
since she was the quote unquote hero, the conqueror of the flame and everything, you know, she had so many experiences that she went on and helping people and trying to do good even though she has that conflict within herself even where she's trying to fight off the spirit of the Ifrit from taking control,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, no, there's just so much more I'd love to see with that. I completely agree with it.
Yeah. Um, the new. Well, I don't. There was one part towards the end where I was like, "Why didn't you just show it?" And they may go and show it in the second part, but they're like, "Oh yeah," and while they were trying to get out of here, this little one silly thing happened. But then we're moving on. I'm like, no,
Oh,
no, no, no,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was when because he had destroyed the uh crap the fairies golem
Yeah.
and they were talking about how he said see and when he first said he's like I'll get you a new one he had mentioned it sounded like he was going to get one from the Dwarven Kingdom or
Uh-huh.
maybe have like his dude that came from the Dwarven Kingdom make one. But then when they
Oh.
when they explained it and you said like they cut away from it, he apparently summoned a demon,
Yeah.
and I'm like, and then he's like, but that's a story for another time. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. That sounds interesting. Let's go to that other time. Let's go ahead and go there now. You know, it's like I get it. They want to have a congruent series where everything connects with each other. But
Mhm.
even if they had like the old almost the only thing that comes to mind is Eon Flux, where it
Mhm.
was like every episode was its own
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah,
Even
Animatrix.
even if they had something like that where it was just like, well, now we see him doing this. Now he's going off on this little thing. Now he's going off on this little thing. You know, and it doesn't actually have like a congruent tied together whole storyline thing. I
Yeah.
would be okay with that.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's like show that to me. Show me what he's doing.
Mhm.
And I'm cool with that because I feel like that's what happened with Shizu. So yeah,
Okay. But yeah, I don't even know like how they would even tell that story. Like I was gonna for some reason he's gonna come back with the kids, and they're like, "Oh yeah, remember that time you summoned the demon?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I do remember." Flashback, and then do the whole thing, and then come back. And I'm like, why didn't you just do it then? It's just weird to kind of. I'm like, don't even mention it then. Quit teasing.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah. You know what? I feel like they might whatever future spirit thing that went into that girl. I feel like they might bring it up then.
Maybe.
But yeah.
I kind of had wanted him to. I mean, I get it that maybe the kids need more education or whatever, but I kind of wanted him to just take the kids with him.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know why. Well, yeah, like you said, more education.
But I'm like, just take the kids with you. Just you'd be like, all right, well, you guys are moving. You're coming with me. You know,
Yeah.
like, oh, these guys don't know how to. These guys don't know how to treat you. They don't know what's going on. You guys come with me. I'll take care of you. You're fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would have been awesome, I think. But whatever.
Yeah. Okay, so the last part is the spoiler section, and what is your favorite part? I'm like, I can't think of a better part than Gota just showing up and like just like showing his power and kicking the lizard dude in the face. Like
that was hilarious. That was hilarious.
Yeah, in this second part, I can't think of a moment that's like more shocking and like good job than that. Do you have a new moment?
I don't know. I think the moment when the little girl demon lord came to the city. Okay, well, it's okay, twofold. So it kind of goes with her. So like the moment when she first came to the city, and then he kind of had that little like all the ogres tried to attack her, failed miserably.
Yes.
And then he's in the pit with her of the impact that she had created.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go like they're about to go head to head and smash, and he covers her mouth, and you're looking at it going, what the hell did he do? And then all of a sudden she has that star-eyed look in her face, and you're like, she's like, that was delicious. And you're like, what the hell? And he's like, oh, I found this honey while on one of my travels. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. We're not even gonna fight. She's just hungry. Okay, cool. I'm totally down with that. And then the instance where he was in the caves, I guess, and came out and saw that huge explosion. And then he goes to find out what happened, and he sees the Goblin Lord with half his face gone.
Yeah.
And the Goblin Lord's like, "Oh, it's fine. It's just a scratch." He's like, "Half your face is gone. How is that a scratch?" Just throws the healing potion on him and whatever, and then comes up and realizes that it was the little demon lord who'd done something. And then they have the flashback where the dude had smacked the crap out of the Goblin Lord, and all of a sudden, just the aura of sheer destruction, and all the goblins start to part, and you see the demon lord, and she's like, "You hurt my bestie's friend," and you're just like, "Oh crap, you're dead." And then that look she had afterwards, and he's thinking to himself, she wants me to praise her. She wants me to praise her for almost killing this guy. All right. And then she's like, and then he's like, you know what? I'm not gonna punish, because he goes, you promised you wouldn't deal or hurt anybody unless I specifically told you. And she's like, but he wasn't part of the town, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't count. Doesn't count. And he's like, well, you still hurt, and said, no lunch for you. And she's like, no lunch, and then goes over and I should smack you more for that. And he's like, no, don't kill him. Yeah, so her character in general is, I think, probably one of the most entertaining and funny moments that you could possibly get in general.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, it's like having a ticking time bomb. You're like, hey guys, you hold it for a second, and you're like, I don't even see the counter. Here, you hold it.
basically, basically.
Yeah. Did she punch the lizard dude?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because he called her short or shrimp or something like that, or I don't
Yeah.
remember. But yeah,
Yeah.
the minute that happened, and we'll look, I'm like, oh, you done fucked up now. Ah, you done fucked up now. And then, bam, and he just goes flying. I'm like, yep, nope. Hopefully you're still alive. If not, remember, maybe we can do something about it. I don't know, but you kind of put that on yourself, man.
I like that he's kind of toned down his attitude.
Oh, the lizard
Like,
guy.
yeah.
Uh,
Like,
Kaberu, Kaberu, Kaberu.
oh, I hate that so much.
You're the man, Kaberu. You got it.
It's like, do you remember Tenchi? And like, why she had those little cheerleaders on her shoulders? And she's like, Washi, you're the greatest. Washi, you're a genius. And I'm like, just like 4 of them. And they're just dumb.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, didn't he name them? I'm like, are they even like kind of capable now? Or something? Because
I like the fact that he names all of them. I'm pretty sure he did. And his sister and like 3 or 4 of the other ones look more human.
yeah.
And then he now looks more like a dragon. Because he's got like the freaking wings, lizard look. And I'm like, how did we evolve differently here?
Yeah, I was like, what? And I was like, oh, you just wanted to make some more human characters.
Yeah, basically.
You got tired of lizards. So I'm like, no. Yeah, that was one thing I was like, no, no, no. I'm like, yeah, I don't know the whole fantasy lore and like how certain ogres change to like other types of names and like I don't know the hierarchy, but lizard to person, no. I don't agree with that.
Or if you're going lizard to person, make it across everything.
Yeah.
Not just specifics.
Yeah, because
you get turned into a person, but you get turned into like a weird dragon-looking lizard thing.
Yeah, so what should have happened is like where Gabiru went from lizard man to dragon man, everybody else should have went from lizard to lizard man. Yeah. Like that's one thing I disapprove. That didn't make sense. I'm like, you're just doing fan service, blah, whatever.
Yeah, basically. I mean, okay, granted, at least in the sense that I think she ended up becoming like the second to the shinobi ogre dude or whatever. So I guess it kind of makes sense because now she's more stealthy or whatever. Because I mean, if you tried to make a ninja out of the dragon dude character, I'm like, no, that wouldn't work. He's too big. He's too noticeable. You're never gonna hide that crap. But still, I'm just like, come on, really?
Yeah. Because basically, I just erased them. Because what isn't there a bunch of other humanoid-looking characters, or are they all ogres? So it'd be like some green humanoid-looking, and then some.
I mean, the ogres themselves look humanish, but honestly, out of his entire group, so I mean, the goblins are still green, but they do look humanish. The ogres look humanish, but they have the horns. And then the lizard people, you have the dragon ones, and then you have the human ones. So and I think that's all he's named, isn't it? Well, other than the wolves.
So I'm like, what stage is that? They need to clear that up because
just a bit.
Yeah, because so I guess the sister and all of them were the same rank. Like on that scale, where was Gabiru? Like, did Gabiru skip that step? So then, if they get named again, then they'll turn back to their lizard form, and then they'll turn to dragon, or are they a different species? It's so inconsistent. But that's one thing out of this series that has a ton of great things.
And we're nitpicking the crap out of it.
Yeah, it's when you have to nitpick and find like one aspect to be like, yeah, this is where they messed up on some side characters that you barely ever see.
Yeah, basically. I think after he got turned into that, we've seen him like what, once or twice?
Yeah.
Afterwards, the one time he went into the cave where Gabadoo was like, "I made this plant," and he's like, "You made a weed." I don't even know how you made a weed, but you made a weed inside of a cave. How? Just go away. And then I think you see him one other time in like a montage, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
His sister you only see, I think, once too.
Yeah, I'm wondering if she's gonna be more of a thing. I don't know.
Yeah, either way.
But yeah. So looking forward to season 2. Whether it starts in one season or whatever. But yeah, first season was great. Definitely look forward to seeing the rest because what is it? I don't know, Demon Black, whatever the other dude was.
That was interesting. That was interesting. Yeah. They so they've hyped him up. I want to see some stuff with him. God damn it. They've hyped him up because they made him even more powerful than a named demon.
Yeah.
Because Archdemon is a named demon, but apparently they said that the hierarchy of demons, they don't even have names. They just have colors.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Because there's the red one, and there was another one, and there's the black one. And the only one we've met so far is the black one.
Yeah. They're white or blue?
I don't remember. I remember red, which made sense, and then black. I just don't remember what the other one was. Okay. There's only 3 though.
Okay.
Which is interesting because I think didn't the dragon say there was? Oh no, I think there's 4. There's 4 dragons that are supposed to be quote unquote the most powerful creatures on this world. Mm-hmm. So, we'll see.
Yeah, this show is just like ReZero, where there's like the area of the world that the story covers like slowly expands, but then anything else can come from like the rest of the world and it'll be okay. Like same thing with Overlord. Like there's like certain regions that we've like maybe hear about in passing and you're like, I wonder what's over there. So yeah, and like even Gate did that too. Like all these fantasy shows, they're like all the ones that we refer back to, most of it is because they've built a really interesting world and they're like slowly expanding across it. And it's in like, I'm ready to find out about like all of this stuff. So,
you imagine it. So I'm going to bring it up. ReZero season 2 has been announced.
Oh yeah. It's going to be good.
So.
All right, so that's it for that one. The next show and the last show we're going to be talking about is Yakusoku no Neverland, or The Promised Neverland.
I tried so hard to watch this show. I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. I mean, I watched the first episode, and it just absolutely floored me and shocked me. And then I started to try to watch the second one. I'm like, oh God, I feel so bad for everybody. And I just, oh geez, oh my God, I feel hopeless for them. I feel hopeless for them. It's like it dragged me down. I'm like, oh, just crap. No. Just no on all levels. Just no. So yeah, no. I think I watched halfway through the second episode, and I was like, "Oh, this is just evil. Mama has a freaking tracker on you guys," and then you have to pretend that you're still happy, even though this is a freaking slaughterhouse for you. Oh my God! And just feeling the despair that you're gonna get eaten or whatever, because you're smart or something. I'm like, oh, just I don't even know. I don't even know. So, yeah.
Okay. So, would you recommend the show?
I'm sure, and I know that there are some people out there, because I saw it all plastered over YouTube. People are gonna like this show. There are certain people who are gonna like this show. It's dark. It's got mystery involved with it. Um, I guess in the same sense, like there's a lot, just like it was Shield Hero, there's a lot going on in the background, but you only have the perspective of these kids who know nothing.
Yeah.
And you have to figure this out just right along with them.
Yes.
So this is somebody's cup of tea. Not mine, but this is somebody's cup of tea.
So, I absolutely recommend this show if you like dark mysteries.
Freaking dark as hell.
Yeah. The first episode will punch you in the stomach.
Absolutely floor you.
Yeah. And then sweep your feet. And if you fall on your face, and then be like, all right, that's enough of that. You go sit over here and rest. And then the mystery and the planning and the solutions
horrible
that
of horribleness.
so the rest of the series doesn't get as dark as the first episode. It slowly starts getting darker and darker. Well, not
it's
dark,
not as dark, but we go darker later on.
Well, it goes about as like it brightens up. It's like, all right, it's too dark in here. And it pulls the shades, and then throughout the series, it like slowly lets the shades back down. And they're like, "Ha! You didn't know it's getting back dark again, did you?"
Booja.
So, so yeah, I would recommend this show to anybody who doesn't mind a dark show.
Mm-hmm.
Did this meet my expectations? I thought it was going to be way worse. I thought the first episode was like, oh, this is a sneak peek of what you're going to see for the next 11 episodes. And I'm like, oh, God. I know I said I wanted a horror show, but I didn't want this. And it didn't give me what I thought. It gave me something that I became very intrigued on.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said before, it turned into like a reverse heist movie where it's like we got to get out instead of we got to get into the place, and all the obstacles that they ran into were really, really cool. Out of the people that you saw, I know you haven't gotten any development on them, but from who you saw, who was your favorite?
Probably the main girl. Can't remember her name.
Emma.
Emma, yeah. Emma probably was. I think she really, despite all the trials and tribulations that everyone had, she really put forth, I think, the most effort so far, and she had just the greatest attitude. Of course, I think that probably changed after everything that happened, but I think for the most part, yeah, no, she had the most intriguing character above all.
Okay.
So.
So, from the main three characters that were in the middle, I liked Emma and I liked Norman, which is the silver-haired guy.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the Sasuke. I liked the black, the other guy in the middle. about as much as I liked the two moms.
Mhm.
They all have about the same level of like character development and like.
So that other one was a quote unquote mom.
Yes.
Gotcha.
She comes in within like 2 or 3 episodes, and okay, so I'm gonna back up. So yeah, those are my favorite characters. This is the spoiler section where I will go over major key points in the story. So you can mute or you can go ahead and check it out if you've seen it. Okay, so for this show, do you think you would ever come back to it? Just to.
I don't know. It'd be rough.
Okay.
It would really be rough.
So it gets a lot lighter, and it doesn't get as dark until the end, and that's the same thing that happened with Prince of Smiles. It's like, it's my time to die. You go to safety, and you start losing people.
Mm.
So you kind of not very many other people die.
Mm-hmm.
But so basically, trying to think how to go about this because I really like the way it developed, and yeah. So basically, this is an orphanage, and characters get shipped out, and you never see them again. They're being cultivated and trained to be good products, and one of the kids gets shipped out, and she leaves something behind, and two of the other characters try to take it, like they leave a stuffed animal behind, and they try to take the stuffed animal to the girl, and they find out what's actually being happened. Like they're not being delivered to the family. They're being shipped out because they're products.
Yeah.
Once they find out the truth, they become ultimately shocked just as much as we did.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The biggest shock of the year, the biggest shock in a long, long time. And there's nothing but like just dread once you find out that that moment.
Just a bit.
I'm sorry, what?
I said just a bit.
Yeah.
Just a bit of dread, just a bit of hardship going on to that.
Yeah. So, you follow the first the Norman and Emma. They are the ones who find out. They start coming up with a plan, and they don't know whether they should tell everybody. Ray, that's his name, Ray, the third guy, or the second guy, but third person in the group. Like everybody notices that something's up. Like the two characters that went to take the thing haven't been the same since
they came back.
Yeah, since they came back. And Ray was the first person they talked to because he like brought it up. He's like, "What's wrong with y'all guys? Y'all are acting weird." And another one of the kids finds out, and he doesn't really say anything because he's one of like the younger kids.
Mm-hmm.
The way the system works is, however the kids get delivered to the orphanage, they all get raised the same. They go under they get tested and all that kind of stuff to see like how smart they are. And there's a certain cutoff. Once you reach the age of 6, you get put into 2 categories. You either get categorized as we're going to keep this one around until they turn 12, or we're going to give you a grade. They don't speak about the grades, but I'm assuming it's like A, B, C, D. Mm-hmm. Depending on what grade you get, and I don't know if it's like the higher grades go first or the lower grades go first, but it's all they're all ranked by like their grade. So it's like if you're a D and you're 6, then you're probably getting shipped out next week. I'm sorry. If you're like a B or an A, then they're like, okay, we'll keep you around for a couple more years. Let you age like some fine wine. It's such a so it's basically like you're just waiting around for your number to be pulled.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know what's going on, you're like, cool, we're just having a fun life, playing with mama and all that kind of stuff. And one day we'll get adopted.
Mm-hmm.
For the other people, it's like, we got to get out of here before our number gets pulled. So let's get all the supplies that we can get. Let's sneak some sheets, make some ropes, try to climb some trees, try to climb some walls. Outside of the orphanage, there's this gigantic field. And then there's this like 20, 30-foot wall surrounding the whole place.
Yeah. See, I got to that point where they saw the wall and everything.
Yeah. It's a perfectly smooth wall. You can't climb up it. The way that they got up, it was weird. They like tied some sheets into a rope and hung it to a tree and like ran and like and hopped over. The physics was weird. I don't understand how that worked, but they eventually figured out how to get on the top of the wall. So then you would think, yeah, let's just jump over the wall. Like, no, can't do that. So the only way to get out is through a bridge, and that walks right through the headquarters of the people they're being shipped out to. So, they're basically stuck unless they can somehow get on the wall and either get through the bridge and sneak through or find some way out, because there's a giant moat around the whole, not a moat because it's not filled in with water, but like it's just a cliff. And it's like maybe 30 or so feet wide. And you can't really like, I'll jump and make it. They're like, nah, this is not Mario. So, like their original plan, once they finally, like, just getting to that wall was tough, because after the main mom finds out that somebody knows, she brings in the other mom, which is the first one in the picture.
Gotcha.
She is very energetic, very overbearing, because she's just this big lady, and she will smile, and she's very, very animated, and she'll just like you know when like a kid's upset and you want to talk to them, you like kneel down to their level and then you like talk like face to face.
Yeah.
She'll stand over you and be like, "Hey, how are you doing? I heard that this happened," and she'll like watch your expressions, and you're like, "Okay, I'll go talk to you later." La, 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 and spin around and like just walk off. Like, she's very animated, very lively, but you can tell she's like just examining everything that you do. And she's very smart, very strong. So when the guy, like, to basically kind of train their escape, they play tag, and they're like, "All right, you're it," and they like they're basically like covertly running drills while they're playing tag. One, because the kids aren't like the young kids. Like there's 5 kids that are over 6, and everybody else is under 6. And all of the kids that are under 6, they're not gonna understand what we're like. Like if we say, "Oh, we're gonna be shipped out," and tell them the truth, they're gonna start crying, and they're not gonna be able to like, "Oh, everything's fine, everything's fine." They're not gonna be able to cover it up. So
Yeah.
they're just saying, "Let's play tag," and they kind of split everybody into groups. And the group leaders are the people that are over 12, and the new mom, like they know, like all of the kids are just playing tag freeform, and then all of a sudden, once this incident happens, they're like splitting up into groups of 5. And they're like, "Yeah, like it's obvious." Like you don't see the moms observing them, So you're kind of caught up in the moment. They're like, yeah, if y'all split up, then everybody won't get caught at once. And if you do it this way, the kids won't know, but they'll be able to, once you like tell them and hopefully they don't freak out, they'll be able to follow because they'll remember the training that you did with the tag. And then once they actually start executing some of these plans, then the mom steps in and she's like, "Oh, you think I wasn't watching you?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's right." She's just that's her job, is just to watch the kids. Of course she's watching them. Of course she sees them, like one kid will disappear and like, "Oh, I wonder what that kid's doing." Anyway, I need to keep my eye on these kids. I'm like, "Oh, they're dividing up into groups of 5. Oh, they keep running off into the forest." Of course something's up. Like, but I don't know. I just got like sucked up into the whole dread and like the whole, how are we gonna get everybody out? Because Emma, girl, she's like, "I want to take everybody. Like, I'm not leaving anybody behind." And he's like, "Some of these kids are like, they're like 3. Like, he can't. How are we gonna get them up on top of this wall?" Like they're saying like realistic things. They're like, we can't take everybody. And they spend the whole series trying to convince her, and she's just hard-headed. She's like, "No, I want to take everybody because I have this joyous, like naive sense of the world, and I want everybody to be happy, and I want everybody to be friends." And slowly you see that getting torn down. And towards the end, the main mom, she like figures everything out.
Oh, I'm sure.
And she's like, "All right, I don't need this other mom anymore. So I've recommended you be another mom at another plant. So today's your last day. You can leave." And I'm like, "Oh, she did say she was working on that." And the other mom was really getting close to like she basically became allies with the kids because her whole goal is like, "I want to be a mom. And also, you are the highest rated mom, but I know you're keeping some type of secrets. I know there's something going on. So I'm going to find whatever dirt I can on you, and I'm going to report it to the leaders, and then I'm going to get you kicked out, and then this farm will be mine." So it's like this whole other story going on, and she's a capable like adult. So you're like, she might actually do it. Like, it's crazy. And then on her on the day like she goes to be kind of promoted, it did no, that didn't work. So now you're like, okay, now it's the kid's mom. So what? Why is she so confident that she'll find like that? She's like, "Yeah, y'all, you can't escape. You can't get away from me. Like, there's no point." And they come up with this really, really crazy plan to like cause a diversion. And it works very, very well. Like, it surprised me. Like they basically like, "Oh, I got a plan," and it started going. I'm like, "No, tell me the plan too. I don't want to be confused." So I'm left in the dark, and they start doing things, and then they're like, "Up and switcheroo," and then like, "Up and switcheroo again." They're like, "Up," and we left this person. I'm like, "Oh, that's to hold her back so y'all could do the thing." And then he's like, "Oh yeah, this other thing," and I'm like, "Oh, that's what y'all are doing. Okay." So now I'm finally let in on the picture, and I was like, "Okay, cool. Well, she's not gonna leave these kids behind because of this, and she's kind of trapped there because she's not gonna leave them." And then she leaves them. I'm like, "Guys, run! She's after you!" They're like almost there, and she finally catches up to like the last person that's trying to do the thing, and it's like I don't know, it's like the showdown between the two characters that have been like battling it out the entire series face to face. And there's moments where like the mom is like, no, I have the power. Snap somebody's leg. You're like, okay. I don't know why I had hope. I don't. I was just, I don't know.
I had an idea. You know what? I'm good. I'm fine. Nope. Apparently we were wrong.
Yeah. So it's like you think like they do it perfectly because they completely take the opposition out of the picture. And you're like, oh yeah, and then we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do that, and we're gonna do that. And you're like, yeah, that sounds like a great plan. And then the mom steps in and just destroys the plan. You're like, oh yeah, she's an adult, y'all are kids. Of course. And she's been trained. Like the whole reason why she's a mom is because she's the top of her class. Like, yeah. I don't know why I thought y'all had any kind of hope.
See, I think that's the worst for me is just looking at that, going just like, oh my God, this is gonna suck on so many levels. There's no, yeah, it's so wrong and feels wrong just because of that. You know, and I'm looking at them going, come on, how can you possibly think you can even do anything at this point? What even, you have literal demon monsters that are trying to devour you, and you're on what is essentially a farm. I mean, it's like, come on, seriously?
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe it's just me because I'm like, yeah, that sounds like it might work. And every single time I'm just stopped. So, at the end, something happens and you see a complete shift in the original mom. Some of the advice that she had been giving Emma, because basically the way these farms work is for the females.
Mm-hmm.
If you are one of the smartest and you make it to 12, then they're like, we'll give you two options. You could either
Die.
get adopted, get adopted, or you can start your mom training. And there's this whole group of moms that I don't know. I think it's basically just like another farm, but just for teenagers. And they take the cream of the crop. Like they take the cream of the crop as a kid, and then only certain kids get promoted to the second like training facility, and then they take the best one of those, and then those become the moms that take care of the original facilities. So it's if the other half of the story wasn't there, we're like, oh yeah, all the people who flunk out of class get eaten. It'd be kind of a cool like, yeah, I trained and I was the best as a kid, and I went to like college or whatever, and I became the best, and then now I'm a teacher and I'm like training the other guys. Like that's a cool thing, but the other half of the story exists, so it's not really.
But the other half of the story exists.
Yeah, so it's like not really happy at all. But once you realize how that works, you're like, oh, so the mom was one of the kids, and she made a choice to become a mom. And then one of the things that you have to do. So I was like, okay, so if that's the whole process, then how the moms already know the system. Why won't the moms just like help the kids escape? Like, wouldn't that be kind of a thing where you're like, oh, well, I grew up in a farm and I trained to become a mom, and now I'm back here and I'm gonna let all these kids free because I don't think this is the right thing to do. Where is your like insurance that they won't turn on you? And then in part of the montage, they're like, oh, and now she has a baby. And like, oh, well, I guess they're holding the baby ransom or something like that. And then she walks into the farm on her first day, and she almost starts crying when she looks at one of the characters. And I was like, are you serious? That's your son? That's why you treated him differently than everybody else? That's why you're not just going to let all these kids free? Okay. And they kind of just did like a flashback of her, like just like a whole life story. It's like she was a kid, and then she met this. She became really good friends with one of these guys, and then that guy got shipped off, and she became really sad. And she got the choice to be a mom, and she became a mom. One of her kids got put into the farm. She walks into the farm, and there's her son. And then it's just this whole cycle. And one of the girls was struggling, and she basically gave her the same advice that she took. And she's like, there's nothing you can do about this. The best thing that you can do is try to become a mom and then take care of these children when you get assigned your own farm. And I'm like, oh, but it's wrong though. And that like totally humanized the mom. Like,
well, I mean, there's obviously going to be reasonings behind certain things like that, and you never know them until they basically beat you over the head with them. But yeah, it's that I mean, I love when series goes dark in every sort of the way, but at the same time, it's just so rough sometimes.
Yeah. So I really, really liked the journey that this story took. I was looking for something scary, something kind of like just and it gave me a really dreadful mystery, and I'm kind of I don't know. I love the journey. There's certain parts of it I'm like, nah, that sucks. It's terrible, but the journey in the adventure was pretty cool. So that's it for that show. And then in today's episode, we are going to be going. Wait, man, there we go. Yes, that's it for the show today. At the end of the year, we are doing our TacoYaki Anime Awards. And the categories are going to be going for each season. It's going to be Best Girl, Best Guy, and Best Show. And then there will be a 12 video series going over each one of those 12 categories. And then on the podcast at the end of the year, we will take the results of all of those and we'll do like a final vote to get the best guy of the year, best girl of the year, and best show of the year. So our nominees for this season, we have 6 nominees. Some of them are probably the same. But for best guy, I have Norman from Wonderland. I have Gail from let's see. I guess we can go over each one and like one little thing about why each person. So I have Norman from Wonderland. He was the silver-haired guy. He was basically the brains behind everything, behind all of the plans and everything. And you could see that every time their plan failed, it really like it hurt because there was like this force that they could never really truly overpower, and he just kept trying and trying and trying and keeping a straight happy face because everybody was depending on him. So like he was like the one person that like kept me like, come on, we can do it. There's a character called Gail from Price of Smiles, and he was on the Rebels team, and he was the leader of the group that you were following on the Rebels side. He had one of those moments like, it's my turn to die. You guys go to safety. And I was angry. And it always happens. So I was like, this guy's really cool. He's like a dad to everybody. I'm like, well, this is anime, so that means that he's gonna die soon. Like, great. And then from Shield Hero, my favorite guy is Naofumi. All right. Your three?
My three. So best guy, I have Naofumi from Shield Hero. I think I've already kind of explained, based upon my decisions from before, why that is even a thing for me with that. He's just, despite what the man has gone through his life, he is still pushing through and doing an awesome job. My number two is Kirito from Sword Art. I did not finish that series, and I desperately really want to, but at the same time, I feel like when he's always been a very strong character, and he did an awesome job even in that, just as pushing his friend through, trying to be the smarter one and be the better one that he is. So I really appreciate it. And then my number three, he's kind of androgynous, but I feel like he can be. He originally he was a guy, so I want to put him in the guy category. Is Rimuru. Um, I love his character. I love his personality. He's always kind of lighthearted, and even though he's an OP character, he doesn't act like it all the time. He really just tries to hang back and let other people do it, and only really puts forth the effort when he knows that people need him to do so. So
Cool. All right, next category is Best Girl of Winter. I am picking Emma from one.
from Neverland.
It's Neverland. I put Wonderland. Okay.
Nope. Neverland.
Yeah, I'm picking Emma from Neverland because she started out as the whole everybody should be friends. We're gonna save everybody to realizing
everything is awful. Everything is horrible.
Yeah, she went. Everybody's gonna be friends. Everything's awful. The world is terrible. To I'm gonna save everyone. I don't care what I have to go against. I'm gonna save everyone. To all right, so we can't save everyone, but I'm gonna save everybody that I can. And becoming a very, very strong female character. Let's see. The next girl is Layla from Smiles. I think that name is the wrong name. I think the show is the wrong show. Let me go into my third one. But yeah, so Stella is definitely from Smiles. She is the second in command from no, she is the assistant to the queen. And I liked her character the most because you get to see, like, at first she was just the person who was doing all of the work, and whenever the princess got old enough, she just dumped all of her work on there. But then you end up finding out how much work she's actually doing, and then you find out how she became that, how she ended up in that position. Because when the thing that was named the terrorist attack happened, she lost her husband and child at the same time, because the roof fell on they blew up the building, and the building collapsed, and she lost everyone. And because of what she did for a living, she got recommended to work in the palace. Actually, no. Because when she got recovered, they recovered the princess too. And as they were leaving the crumbled building, like a reactor went off, and like a giant like nuclear looking explosion went off, and she instinctively like dove over the baby and protected it, and that's why she got recommended to take care of the princess. But also because of what she did for a living, it was also a perfect fit for her. So just seeing like the whole arc of her like now treating the princess like her daughter that she lost was a really cool character arc. And before I go to my third woman, go ahead and go, because I gotta find it.
So mine, I had for best girl, my number one was Raphtalia, from Shield Hero. She was just an absolutely amazing. Honestly, I think too many reactors I was watching about this were like, best girl of the season, just because of how she is Nafumi's anchor. She is his way of going through and realizing, even though the world hates him, and she's even said this, even though the world may hate you and not believe you, I will. I still believe you. I will still be there beside you. I am your sword, and I will remain through fire and brimstone at your side. My number two is Philo from Shield Hero, because Philo is just, she is absolutely adorable. She is 100% adorable. I love her dynamic. I love the way that she just wailed and kicked the freaking shield hero, or not the shield hero, the spear hero in the groin. I laughed so hard at that, and even Nafumi laughed at that. And just then afterwards, later on, when Spear Hero was trying to give the Shield Hero shit about how he had defeated the boss, the Wave boss or whatever, and he's like, I could have done that. And the next thing you know, she transforms back into her little girl form and looks at him and go, really? You could have done that? Why didn't you? Well, I don't lie. It's like, oh, really? And then my number three is Shizu from Slime. And honestly, that last episode with her, that they had, sort of a back trail of learning about the noir demon, was just awesome. I loved every second of that. I like we said before, I wish there was more dialogue and more stuff with her. If they could make a side thing with her, it would be awesome.
Yeah, so my my third girl was actually Stella. She's actually from the same series, on the exact opposite side. So she's not part of the kingdom. She's actually part of the rebels, and they're probably not called the rebels. They're probably called like the other kingdom. But so she was an orphan. I don't know how. I think the battle's been going on for a long time, and she was given to a foster family. And because things aren't going well, and I don't know if it's because of like food is scarce because the environment is slowly being deteriorated because of all the mechs being run, or if that family was just going through some other type of hardship. Um, at first, everything was fine, and then it slowly deteriorated to the point where she just ran away, and she was homeless for a while. A few people gave her things. Nobody treated her badly, but they didn't let her loiter around. So there was one point where she was like at at like the entrance to either a dojo or some type of shrine, and the lady was like, you can't stay here." So she just kind of picked up her bag and everything and left. And as she was leaving, I don't know if right after or throughout the day, but later she came across a sign that was like, "Join the military," and that's how she became part of that one squad. One thing that she learned when she was younger is um, is something that she took from her foster mom, which it was told to her in a terrible way, but she kind of used it to help get through everything. And it was they were short on food, and um, the small dishes that they had for their dinners, it was like a scoop of rice and a scoop of other vegetables and stuff like that, and it was just a small amount of food, and she kind of gave it to her, and she's like, just smile to get you through anything, and then she kind of just walked off, and she kind of took that whole smiling will get through any type of hardship, and everybody says that she always carries a smile, but it's a very artificial one, and the hardship that she's been through while she was homeless, but plus the hardship that she's been through in the military, losing all of her friends and stuff like that. She's basically just turned into a robot with like a grin. And with this current crew that she's met, she slowly started showing emotions, and she slowly started kind of opening up to the point where when their leader died, the way that one of the guys dealt with it was just to be like, why are y'all honoring him? Why are y'all doing that? You shouldn't do something for a guy that's dead. He's not here now. We need to take care of ourselves. And that was kind of like his way to like deal with the hurt. And even though they brought up the idea of, because the guy, of course, he had an orphanage. So like that was part of the reason why they went around and made sure like lost children were kind of taken care of in a way. But he was just like this angel, just following orders. And once because every now and then he would kind of drop a hint like, oh yeah, I'm around kids all the time. I know how to fix this, or like, oh yeah, I have a bunch of I'm like, he would just basically keep saying, I got a bunch of kids. And nobody really knew what that meant exactly. They're like, oh, is he some kind of stud? Does he have like the stamina of a god? Like everybody's just like making all these weird comments, and I'm like, I want to know the truth because they're saying a bunch of weird stuff. So you find out he has an orphanage, and then once he dies, like everybody's like, when we get our next paycheck, let's take a portion of that and donate it to his orphanage. And when they go and do that, they're like, oh, why do you want to do this one? Why do you want to donate to this specific orphanage? Do you have a kid there? And they're like, no. Why are you asking about where I want to send my money? And they're like, oh yeah, that one dude from your crew, he donated there first, and I was just curious that like everybody's doing the same thing. And I'm like, oh, you jerk! You're just putting up this weird front and going along with everybody else. But because he said certain things like that, he one time said something, and it made Stella like try to hit him in the face, and it was the first time that she's had like an outburst like that. So for her to finally show emotions, for her to somebody finally get under her skin, it was like a cool progression. And that's another character that was like very well developed in the show. So that's why she's my third favorite. But the best show, yeah, Neverland, Shield Hero, and Prince of Smiles. What was the fourth show I looked at? Yeah. If I could pick four, I'd put the other fourth show that I finished on there. Oh, I would have put Slime, but one reason why I didn't put Slime is, well, I don't know, the characters in these affected me more than the characters from Slime, so that's one reason why I didn't put it on the list. But then also I nominated it last year, so yeah. Yeah, those would be my three.
For me, I had my best show. I don't know if you could tell from the season. was Shield Hero. I absolutely adored Shield Hero. My number 2 is Sword Art Online. And then my number 3, which I still need to go and finish, is A Certain Magical Index, Season 3.
So yeah, I'll be putting these in a poll. I don't know if I should do the poll now while everybody has these shows fresh in their memory, or if I should do them all at the end. But
good question.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and make the polls and put all these together. So if anybody's in the Discord, you can go ahead and go to the poll area and vote on them. And they will be featured in December for the 12 Days of Anime. But for today's podcast, that is it. 4 shows we finished this season. Next season is going to be pretty interesting. We have One Punch Man Season 2. We have...
Though I hear that's supposed to be on Hulu.
Yes, because for some reason that show is not a Funimation show. It's not a Crunchyroll show. I think it might have been on Hulu last time, or it was on Netflix.
It was on Crunchyroll.
One Punch Man?
Yeah, season 1's still on there right now too.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, I don't know why they're like, no, we don't want to be with all the other anime. We want to be somewhat. Maybe Hulu paid them enough money to be exclusive, but yeah, that's going to be one. We got. Let me sort this list by popularity. We have Attack on Titan, Season 3, Part 2, The Better Half. Bungo Stray Dogs, which I didn't get into. Fruits Basket, A Blast from the Past. Fairy Gone looks pretty cool. And a bunch of new IPs. So this next season should be pretty varied on what's coming out. And that episode will be on the 28th of April. Actually, no. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be First Impressions. Yeah, next episode will be the 28th of April.
Yep.
So, yeah. I thank y'all for watching. Thanks for hanging out in chat. Thanks for supporting the channel in any way that you do. And we will see y'all on the 28th. Bye!